I am in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and maybe Mark could pull up on the and just put it on the screen that
Yeah.
in a map, just pull up a map and Colorado Springs. Um, I've been here for the last 2 days, both here in Colorado Springs and in Denver, doing meetings with people that I'll tell you about what our purposes were in just a second. But I also was able to stay with my daughter and her family because they live in this area. And so it's always nice when you can do that. And Mark's showing some neat pictures of the area there. That's kind of cool. Actually, you know what? You just showed one that I think yesterday, one of the meetings that I had was at a place called Garden of the Gods, and it is a national park. And Mark, yeah, there's those red rocks back behind there. That is all an area that's called Garden of Gods. I think that's Pikes Peak in the very distance. That photo was obviously taken in the winter. There's Garden of the Gods right there. Anyway, I was at the Garden of the Gods Club, which is a membership entity that you can join and enjoy the what they call a social membership, which is where you take advantage of being able to eat at several amazing restaurants that they have and have different kinds of meetings there at the location. And then a second membership. But what Mark's showing now is actually the web page. It looks like for um, the the national park that is there. And I might be wrong about it being a national park. It's certainly a really well-known park, but as you can see, beautiful, beautiful place. Very unusual geology. Um, and it is right in the foot of Pikes Peak. And what's interesting about Pikes Peak is Pikes Peak is the most eastern mountain in the Rocky Mountains. So when the settlers came across the plains in the 1800s to come west, the first thing they would see as their wagons got over some little hill in the distance would be Pikes Peak because it sits out farther east from the rest of the mountains in what we call the Front Range in Colorado. And I mean, quite a bit east, maybe 45, 50 miles. Um, and so it was the first thing that the settlers would see because the other mountains are considerably farther west. And you'd have to look at, we should, if you pulled up a map, Mark, I'll show you what I mean by that. Um, Anyway, interesting area. Never done a webinar from here. I am literally on my way to the airport, and I will fly back to Idaho this evening. I actually don't go directly back. I go through Denver. So if you pull up that map again, Mark, we can see where we are and just show people a little bit about why it's farther east and what I mean by that. Yeah. Okay. So north south on the road. And Mark, go a little farther out so we can still see. I can't tell which of those dots says Pikes Peak. All right. So this map's showing directly north south. And notice how right down there in the very bottom where the green is, that's where Pikes Peak is. Mark will put his cursor on it. You're actually not seeing a dot for it. But if you were to scroll out again a little bit, you'd see that farther north of here, it's considerably farther west than we are. You see Pikes Peak, Mark, coming up?
Oh no, I don't see, but I can put it into the search. Let me go go into the map. I will go to Google Maps.
Yeah, and look, and then search for Pikes Peak.
Right. So I can just type it in.
You don't even have to put in Colorado Springs because there's only one in the United States.
Okay. Yeah, Pikes Peak, Colorado, USA. So that
Yeah,
should be
click
it.
on that.
Right. So this is the satellite view.
Yeah, and then if you just make it smaller, it'll then show you how far east it is from the rest of the mountains. If you
Okay.
go look north, so there's Pikes Peak,
Right.
and
I'm scrolling out.
yeah, there you go. So now look at the mountains north of it, which if you see Fort Collins. So I lived up by Fort Collins, and look at that. It's if you draw a straight line down to the south, you'll see Pikes Peak sticks out a little bit to the west. You see how that green area goes. Excuse me, I keep saying west to the east. That's why it became very prominent because it was the first thing that the settlers would see, and people they got attracted to it. They thought, "Whoa, we want to go towards that big mountain," and it has been an incredibly mild fall. By this time, absolutely normally, we should have had a frost below freezing at night. And I don't think we've gotten below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Freezing is 32. So it's been very warm relative to what the normal temperatures are. Obviously, a little bit out of our area, we had a very severe storm yesterday and the last evening in the eastern United States in Florida. Any of you are in that part of the world, why don't you put something in the chat and tell us what things are like there where you're at? I don't know whether any of you will be or not. And then Mark, make sure you tell me if there's questions that people have as we're going along here.
Yep.
Again, today is our Talk with Wayne session. It's really you asking me questions and me having topics that I'm interested in and that I think are relevant for today's times. One that is relevant is again this temperature sort of circumstance. It's the second one is relevant because I whoa, it's weird. My phone there, my phone just went, I guess, into a sleep mode, and so it lost me for a minute there. I couldn't see the screen. And that's lead contamination, which is a little bit into the news because there's an effort that is occurring here in the United States to remove any pipes from our drinking water in cities that are lead, that contain lead. And we've been trying to do this for years, but more recently it's been a little more of a active effort. I think it's a very good thing. It's really positive that we're getting rid of those. They are very dangerous. Lead poisoning is severe, and we've seen instances where people were very, very ill from being poisoned with lead. So that effort's going on. That's relevant in today's environmental news. Weather is still a very interesting topic and one that is controversial around the world. Hydrogen fuel is another one that's interesting, not very controversial, except people wonder if there's any chance it'll really happen. And that means hydrogen used in vehicles instead of fossil fuels, and as an alternative to electric. That's one that Dennis Weaver was a huge fan of, founder of the Institute of Economics. He was strongly in favor and believed that we would move towards hydrogen instead of electric. Well, we haven't. He was wrong. And instead, we've moved much more towards electric and really haven't had much progress at all with hydrogen. There are a couple of the major automobile companies, however, that are now starting development of hydrogen engines. Hydrogen is a fuel that will burn very well in a very traditional fossil fuel engine. Problem with hydrogen is its storage in the vehicle, and it can be very dangerous because it has to be stored at very high pressure. And if the tank that it's in were to, a car would be in an accident, for example, it could explode and cause a huge problem. And secondly, it takes up so much space that most cars would have to be redesigned to be able to accommodate its presence. Matter of fact, even so much as you would not maybe be able to have rear seats in a car. So that's something that's worth talking about, because there is more and more information in the news every day about some of the bigger car companies looking at hydrogen as an alternative. Interestingly, it can be made from water vapor or water. As you know, water is H2O, and so there's hydrogen that's in water, and it can be extracted from water. So it's not to say that we don't have water shortages in some places, because we do, but water is a very available product because of the enormous size of the oceans. Now, to use salt water to form hydrogen fuel, you'd have to desalinate it, take the salts out of it. So anyway, a little bit of a not controversial but difficult subject because of the just infancy of the research related to it. So those are three things that I was just wanting to bring up and see if anybody had comments. As I said, I'm sitting in my vehicle, and it's actually so warm here in mid-October that I'm going to have to roll the windows down. So I'm going to quickly start it and put the accessories on and roll windows down, and then I guess they didn't know. What's that?
I see a question.
All right.
Okay, so how do fungi support restore ecosystems?
How do fungi support what ecosystems?
Restore.
Okay. Well, let's talk about fungi a little bit. Fungi are microorganisms. They can be big enough to be macro. Therefore, that's what a mushroom, toadstool is a fungi. Most of the fungi that are in the world are micro, so you'd have to use a microscope to see them. They're common in healthy soils, as we've heard from several other of our very esteemed speakers. Soils that are degraded have considerably less fungi in them. Fungi or fungi are interesting pronunciations. So you can, I don't know that anyone's right or wrong, but people pronunciate it in different ways. Anyway, fungi are becoming depleted in a number of distressed soils. So I'm sitting again in a parking lot and looking out at some soils that are between me and the road. And this is a dry climate here, but these soils are clearly distressed. Probably have had all kinds of fertilizers put on them. Probably had all kinds of of pesticides and herbicides. I'm going to just show that real quick. So I'm going to switch my screen around. There we go. That's in front of the car I'm in. See the rear view mirror, the mirror also. But look at how sad that situation of soil over there is. So you see some planted little bushes, vegetation, landscaping, some weeds, almost bare dirt, and a sidewalk. And that bare dirt shouldn't look like that. The only reason it is just that way, it's got some weeds in it, is because it's so poor in its quality. One of the things that's lacking in it is fungi. Fungi are very important to utilizing nutrients in the soil, taking up harmful nutrients in the soil, getting them out of the environment that the other kinds of organisms that we talk about, plants, for example, are in, and reducing the effects of negative on the soil. So whether it's fertilizers or pesticides, herbicides, or maybe unusually warm or cold temperatures. So fungi are very, very important to the health of soil. And healthy soils will most of the time have considerable quantities of fungi. And there are different kinds of fungi ecosystems or communities, and there are good ones and there are bad ones. But honestly, for the most part, it isn't that there's a good community or a bad community of fungi in any given soil. Instead, it's that there is a lack of fungi in really sick soils. So I don't know if that answers the question, but those are my current thoughts on fungi.
Okay. Here's another question. Hydrogen is a flammable and problem. Remember the Hindenburg. Any thoughts?
I think I said that hydrogen was not only flammable, but explosive, and that was a problem. So that is what those people that are the engineering types that are hoping to try to make it a power source for vehicles are dealing with. They have to figure out how to solve that risk that you have from explosivity or flammability. What was the latter part of that question, Mark? So yes, it is. I don't disagree that flammability, explosivity is a problem.
Right. No, there's a word Hindenburg. Any
Yeah, that Hindenburg was a airborne ship. We called them blimps. We don't see very many of them anymore. There are some around, but and it was fueled with hydrogen in its because hydrogen is lighter than air, it'll allow things to go up into the air, fight gravity. So if you fill it up with a hydrogen gas, it'll float into the air, and that's what blimps do. And the Hindenburg was a very famous blimp that carried passengers great distances. Mark could probably even pull up pictures of it. And yes, it blew up, exploded. So what else? Yeah, question mark.
I think the rest of the comment, these are just some links to some websites, and then some comments from several of our viewers. So I see Robert in the crowd. I see Alicia in there. I see some, I think some more new people showed up today, so that's good. But no more questions in the
You knew people. Let your fingers do the walking, as they say. Used to be an old saying of let your fingers do the walking through the yellow pages. Yellow pages are
right.
long now, a thing of the past. We don't look at yellow pages much. But anyway, let your fingers do some typing and ask some questions. You don't have to, but nice if you would. So
Okay.
I am going to talk a little more this week because it's very timely about a really cool project that I've mentioned the last several weeks now keeps moving forward, which is a good thing. And there's a new website that we've created for it. And I'm going to have Mark go to it and mark it. It is bit.ly, so bit.ly / salmon, SALMON, river. No, excuse me, there's a river in it. Salmon, SALMON, hot springs. And springs is plural. And while Mark's pulling it up, let me talk about a tool that I just described as I gave that URL. And the tool is called Bitly. Bitly is a web name shortener, and we use it frequently to shorten web names that are just too long so that they're hard for people to type. Are you putting that in, Mark?
Yeah, I tried the I think I made a mistake there somewhere. So
Yeah,
do you
yeah, it's SALMON, hot springs. And it's a
SALMON?
/ and it's not www. It's
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
With Bitly, you just use bit.ly / salmon
Okay.
hot springs.
Let's see if I get it this time. Oh yeah, I got it. Okay, there it is. I will pull it up, show you. Okay, I think yes.
All right. So this site, it's going to come up on the screen, was built using our tool that we've talked about a lot called Kajabi. And Mark's going to scroll down it in a minute, not quite yet, but it's a very simple site. It's a landing page where we are giving it out to people, and you can certainly just copy that link because I'd love for you to give it to people. I would, there's nothing that is secure or confidential here. And anyway, so I'm just going to paraphrase and read a little of this. So we're working on a project called the Resort at Riggins Hot Springs, and um, and as you can see, it's my opinion, but this is the most impactful investment that I've ever made, and I am investing a lot of money and time into it. And maybe if you're interested in investing, because we're asking our friends and partners if they would like to help us and work with us, that you might make. So in the background is a swimming pool that you're going to see a little more of. I've shown a few of these slides before, so this will be a little duplication, but this is just the way the website starts. So just scroll down, Mark. And the next section is going to be what we call a pitch deck. And I'm going to show that. And that's a logo that we have chosen. And Mark's going to be able to click on it in a minute. We use a software called Designer that we love. And we'd love to, Mark will probably put a link into Designer. We aren't affiliates of Designer. We don't get paid anything if you guys use it. Although we might become affiliates, but right now we're not. But we think it's a really great site to be able to make web pages, to make presentations. So Mark's now scrolling through this, what's called Flipbook. And you don't need to read all this. There's going to be a map soon. Actually, you've gone past it, Mark. So let's go backwards. The map is the first couple pages. You went past it.
Yeah, I think yeah, I'll go back to the map in a second. Yeah, here's the location.
There we go. Um, it is in what we would call south central Idaho. And Mark could probably enlarge that location map there a little, maybe. If you just use your fingers, Mark, at least, or your whatever tool you use to expand, it'll make it
Yeah,
larger.
yeah, I
There
think
we
this
go.
is the, yeah,
There we go. Let's go a little larger. You may have to center it on the page more too.
I'll try that. Let's see if I can make it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I think you can just click on that plus down there below
Okay.
it too. Anyway, the Riggins name there is, you can see it's Mark's got it now at the very top of the screen. And there's an arrow pointing to it. There's actually a dot on the map where this location is. And I live in Boise. I've done a number of our webinars from Boise. That little blue dot is the location. Actually, it actually is where the arrow points to. Right where the arrow is where this site is. There we go. So it's up into what we would call the peninsula of Idaho. It's below the real thick section at the bottom. You know, unbelievably beautiful area. So now why don't you scroll out a little so when we do the flipping, we'll see pages. There you go, a little more. There we go. Right now, next page. This is sort of our slogan where sustainability meets profitability, innovative solutions for eco-friendly businesses. So I'm just going to talk about this and almost read it. What we're going to try to solve are problems that are of ecotourism and environmental education are topics that are booming, yet businesses struggle to meet the demand. In other words, they can't figure out how to get educated in those areas, either about ecotourism or environmental education. Operators that are in the industry lack adequate resources to adapt and to create that creates a gap between the consumer and what is available. So this presents a prime opportunity for innovative, sustainable tourism solutions. And that's what we're doing at this site. So go ahead and click on that arrow again. And you can see, I'll talk about this, but kinds of things that are going to be available at the site are fishing, hunting, mountain biking, hiking, rafting, kayaking. One big thing is we have a spring, hot springs, that we've now tested the water quality on. The water is good enough to drink it. It is amazing for bathing. The Native Americans would come to this site for as long from the powers of the water. And I'm going to show pictures of it in just a minute here. So this is a huge market, 110,000 prospects just in the Pacific Northwest. Very few competitors and a great marketplace. So next slide, click on the next. Click on those arrows, Mark, that arrow again. Mark, would you, there you go. So we're raising 2.5 million, about 1.2 million. 2 of that is for acquisition of the property, and another 1.3 million is for renovation. I'm not going to talk about the sales channels right now, but let's just keep going. Click again, Mark. It is an amazing economic model. Here in 2025 and 2026 will 2.2 to 2.5 million in revenues. Excuse me, 4.2, 4.5, of which there'll be about 2.2 million to 2.5 million in profit. And that is a really profit margin, 40 to 50%. So next, click on the again, Mark. Unfortunately, nobody. I may have to move here in a second, everybody. Mark, would you go to the next slide, please? That just talks about returns that I just mentioned.
Yeah, my computer is a little slow
A little slow. Okay.
today.
Now let's
I have to
go
click
away from this and scroll
several
down
times.
the page. Let's scroll down. Scroll down
Yeah,
now.
there it is.
Go ahead and scroll down now on the page to the next.
Okay.
Not, we're done with this part.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go like down from here.
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
A little farther down. You can read this later, everybody. This next little section is a gallery of images. And I think I've shown a lot of these, but we're going to really quickly go through them because this is such an amazingly beautiful place, really great place. Hey, how you doing? I'm on a webinar, so nice to meet you. So you see a problem on that slide?
Yeah.
What's the
So
problem?
I think it should be more attractive for front page. That's the first thing I see.
Yeah,
That's-
that isn't the big problem. It's bigger than that.
okay.
The word gallery spelled wrong.
Oh, okay.
Should be Gallery.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Anyway, we'll correct that. Actually, I don't know that I want it to be anything other than a white page, Mark, because there's a lot of other color on the page. But is it something I would do? You and I will talk about. I actually would rather you get something different for what surrounds it, but we'll get to that. And then anyway, go ahead and click. Let's look at a little bit of this, and you may have to
Okay, I'll
blow
go
it
through
up
some
again. Yeah, let's go through
of
some
these.
of these.
Yeah,
There's
I'll go and click.
a lot of
forward.
slides. There's a lot of pictures here. Boy, there we go. So that's the Salmon River on the left. If you could blow
Is
those
it
up
moving?
just a little more.
I don't know. Okay, there it is.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because you guys are going to all have the links, but that's the Salmon River again on the right. That's a drone view of the site. It's 160 acres, very mountainous, very steep. That's a little view of it in the winter over on the right. Property's fairly large, goes from the Salmon River up 2,000 feet to a ridge. You're on the ridge when we took these pictures. So keep going, Mark. We're going to go pretty quick. Keep going through these.
Yeah, my let's see if my slide moves. Okay, here it is.
Access is over a pretty cool device, a suspension bridge. That alone is going to get a lot of people's attention. There it is, and over on the right, you see it going across. That's about 400 feet across the river. Pretty large. You're going to see just different slides of the ground. You're going to see the river, a pond that we have on the site. And then inside buildings, you'll see pictures of our buildings. You'll see the swimming pool that we have that's 99-degree water and 105-degree water. Mark, you just kind of keep scrolling, scroll and keep going through it. Picture on the right is the side of the lodge. There's a grilling area in the middle. That is some landscaping on the left. That's just right by one of the buildings. Keep scrolling, Mark. There's the lodge from the front view. It's 3 stories, and there's lodging units on all 3 stories. There's a gathering area on the first floor, and then other really cool areas, kitchen, eating area. Keep scrolling. That is a view of another building. That's, excuse me, the side of the lodge. That's an entry into the kitchen. Grilling area on the right. So keep going. Question for all of you. Anybody weigh in on it? What do you know about healing water? Because we're going to see in a minute. We're going to see the swimming pool and the hot water that what it looks like that comes into it. Again, I've analyzed it. There's nothing in it that's dangerous. It has elevated sulfur levels. That's not bad. That's what gives it, a lot of people believe, healing properties. That's the office. It's where people check in when they come to visit. Getting to see the pool. Picture on the right is the pool from a distance. You're going to see it up close and personal in a second. Just keep scrolling, Mark. Don't, just wait. There we go. There's the pool. Different views of it. It's a large pool, close to Olympic size. Again, year-round, 99-degree temperature through most of it. And then that little hot tub area, the smaller little area, that's 105. Lounge chairs to relax by the pool. This entire site is unbelievably beautiful. So our goal is to have weekend-long courses, week-long courses, where people come in, and that by the way is the pool with the hot tub, and then also you can even make the water go right into the hot tub, which will make the hot tub about 107 degrees rather than 105. And that's not too hot. That is a very not comfortable. You get hot at first, but very soothing temperature for a hot tub. Anyway, we're going to do courses, which are weekend long and week long. And they won't be cheap, but they'll be appropriate for kinds of things, and they'll be economic. This will be the new headquarters for the Institute of Economics. And we'll have lodging for up to 23 people. And eventually we'll build more lodging units. at the end of this presentation, you'll see an example of what one would be like. And then people will come, they'll attend courses. A lot of times they'll have another person they bring with them that doesn't want to attend the course, let's say, and there'll be things they can do, hang out at this pool, hike, mountain bike, go on the river, go on rafts or kayaks, jet boats. This is the meeting room area that we have. It'll seat about 60 people. We don't intend to have events that are that large. Instead, our events will be in the 20-person range, or maybe even smaller. What's really cool is we're going to sell memberships. They're going to range in price from potentially as high as $250,000. That sounds like a crazy number. Mark's just scrolling through these now, and I think they're self-explanatory is what they are. And there's also headings on them, all the way down to as little as several $100s. And the very expensive memberships will also be generating income, because the people that get those will actually have lifetime leases, like a membership in a country club, of one of our living rooms. And they will earn income from that room every day of the year that we lease it out. And on the days that they're there, their membership will have already paid for it. So it's very similar to what a golf club would be, a membership golf club. And just an example of the economics, if you were to purchase one of these and the room that you basically had a lease on now for the rest of your life and others, 99 years, you generate, if there's 100 days of rental, you would generate about 20,000 in revenue. So if you paid 250, it'd be almost 10% in your very first year. If you did 200 days, it'd be twice that amount. If you did 300 days, which we believe is what we will get, it'd be 3 times that amount. Essentially, your $250,000 investment will be paid for in about 3 years. This is a pond that we have on the property where there are trophy fish. It's swimmable. It's very cold. It's got 53-degree water coming in at the very top end of it. It's quite a large pond. It's about 3 acres. And you know how much I love ponds and how much I think that we could do with them for all kinds of purposes. So that's our highest price membership, down to our lowest, say something for a couple $100. For a couple $100, you'd get the ability to visit this place and attend a course for a significant discount of what you would pay for if you weren't already a member. We're going to intrigue or entice early members here with relatively low cost, $200, to become members, and they'll have all kinds of opportunities. And then we think the primary memberships are going to be in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. For that amount, you'll get at least a year of lodging. You won't have to choose it right up front. It can be spread out throughout the year. You'll get to attend at least 4 weeks of seminars and workshops. And the thing different from what we've done is we've done online workshops is they'll be live. You'll be right with the speaker, right with the teacher, and you'll be growing plants. You'll be building greenhouses. You'll be building solar systems. You'll be doing all the kinds of economic things that we've taught about for the last 8 years. But instead of doing it virtually, you'll be doing it live. We also will be able to utilize our recreation resources, which are available, which include fishing and hunting, rafting, kayaking, mountain biking, hiking, ATV riding, and a whole variety of others. And you'll be able to be in the healing spa. Some people with cancer or other horrible diseases could get some healing benefit. just from being in our spa. So that's a depiction of what our kitchen's going to look like. It's a little older right now in terms of its look, but very functional. But we're going to upgrade it to what you see in the left. That's our dining area for about 22 to 24 people in our lodge. And Mark's going to keep scrolling here. We'll see some other things. Those are the stairway that goes from the main floor up to the second floor, third. Yeah, and the eating area just from some different views. We're also going to sell lots for high-end homes, and they're going to be expensive because this is a beautiful, beautiful area. But we're going to have membership means in which you can actually have some ownership. You'll share it, but it'll be a shared ownership of some of these lodging units we have, as well as of our greenhouse, of our stable areas, and all kinds of things. That's the living area that you see there on the left, last two slides. That's an entry area on the right. Again, beautiful place. Needs a little bit of upgrading to make it more up to the immediate times, but it's got really everything you need to operate. So I'm going to stop there, and let me just show, right, you scroll out of this down to the next section, Mark. The next section is a business plan, and all I want Mark to do is to just open it, just scroll for 2 pages. It's very long, very detailed. So if you're at all interested in the investment side of this, you're going to want to open this plan up and then either study it yourself or give it to your accountant if that's who you rely on to help you make decisions, or talk with us about it, or better yet, make a trip to visit the place sometime and anytime. And by the way, we're year round. This the very mild climate at this location. So just open a couple pages, Mark, and then you don't have to. It's all text right now and financials that are graphs and figures, but. Again, you'll be able to open this, look at it yourself. Mark just opened it. So there's the table of contents in the first page. So scroll down again, Mark. I want to get through the last couple sections. Yeah, scroll down the page now. This is a 1-page website. There we go. The questions and answers. So this is where you probably ought to go after you look at the images. And we're not going to click on all these right now, but there are pretty good answers to all of these questions. And most important ones, the last one, how do you contact us? You guys should know that because you're here in the webinar, but there's phone numbers and email addresses and all kinds of ways to get a hold of us. So that's what we call the resort at Riggins Hot Springs. It will be the new home of the Institute of Economics, the new home of SEED, our business, SEED being Center for Economic Excellence and Development. There'll be several staff people living there. We're going to be looking for staff. So if any of you are looking to potentially move to Idaho, work with us, we'd love that. I want to get Mark out here. I've told him that many times. Get him out of Bangladesh for 6 months with his family.
Yeah.
Come and see us.
Yeah, I would love that.
And Reeve, I know, would like the same things. Anyway, so that's really something that we're excited about. I'm spending a lot of time on it. The other reason I'm out here in Colorado, though, is we're also still looking for environmentally distressed properties. And we looked at several of them this week. And we also met with what we call finders, some business people who, in their line of work, they would run into these depressed kinds of assets, environmentally contaminated and otherwise. And we'd love for you people to look for them. We're looking for them all over the world. and you probably know of some. You see a building, a big building vacant, guarantee that's something we'd look at. So be ready to get back in touch with us if you happen to be out and about, see a building or a property that just you're sitting and looking at it and going, why is that vacant? What's wrong with it? What's going on? For 30 plus years, that's what I've done as a business, is to find those properties, clean them up, refurbish them, and then redevelop them. So, Mark, let's look for questions quickly, and then I actually don't have a lot more today, so we might stop a little early. Any other questions you see there?
Okay, I'm looking at the questions.
By the way, we have a number of members that'll put in just links, and they are economic. So when we publish this in the website, Eat Community, and then within the next couple of days, you should look at this webinar and look at the questions and answers, because you might find some sites you want to look at.
Yeah, these are some great information resources here. And any thoughts about converted air seeder that efficiently plant cover crops? Okay, so air seeder.
Yeah, I know what one is. I mean, they do what you just said. They're really nice pieces of equipment. So I don't, my thoughts are they work. Yes. If you have the use for one, buy one.
Okay. So need a reminder, APPPA members will receive a 30-minute email notice. I don't know what this is. Okay, so this is all right, so this is about, does anyone anyone here on this meeting look to pastured poultry?
I mean, anybody that's been around us for a while, Mark could answer that question. Do we know anything about pastured poultry, Mark? I think we know a lot.
Yeah, Sarah was one who was, yep.
We have a course, about
Mhm.
10 different lessons about raising pastured poultry.
Right.
By the way, I just became a member of a club here in Idaho. I'm not in Idaho as I speak, but that's now home. This last weekend, where every week for $37, I'm going to get a variety of food, of which one of them is a dozen eggs, which is about what my wife and I will eat in a week. They are free range and pasture raised, organic, all those cool words. And if you were to buy them, this particular entity sells them for $12 a dozen. Now that is a really, really high price, but probably worth it instead of getting the junk that the pen raised or confinement raised chickens that eat all kinds of awful pellets and get all kinds of pesticides sprayed on them to kill bugs and other things, that they cost in the range of $3 to $5 a dozen. So again, we're excited because we haven't gotten one of our boxes yet, but we'll get one. Maybe we got one even while I'm gone this week.
Yeah, and I also think on the ethical side that a caged, like if you're farming in cages, that's like hurting the birds.
It is. Yeah,
Yep.
it's not very ethical.
Right. Okay, so here's a question. Please explain the importance of soil health in sustainable agriculture.
Well, again, that's a whole course. That's weeks and weeks of discussion, which we've
Right.
done. We have. We have many of those. Mark Shepard spent
I
100
think,
weeks.
yes, I think Elaine is, we're going to start a replay session with
Right,
Elaine, and she has courses that she's
right.
selling.
Yep,
Yeah, we can
yep,
start that.
yep. Lots of information out there about that topic. So all I'll say right now is soil quality is the key for plant quality. And so you absolutely have to manage your soils and make them, help them become as natural and pristine and healthy as possible. So a short-winded answer to what we'll give you a longer-winded answer um, if you just look on our site, and we have different levels of memberships that you can get, and we have free things you can get, and you'll learn lots about that topic.
Right. Okay, here's the question. What about the energy expended to attend workshops on environment?
Well, that's a very true story. That's one of the reasons that's a very true statement, and there is definitely energy expended. And quite honestly, I'm assuming you expend some energy doing almost everything you do in life, unless you live completely off the grid and don't have to go anywhere to get your food and do all of that. And that there probably are some of you that have that situation. But um, to go to this site we were describing, you probably would fly in on an airplane and then drive in a car or some kind of a land vehicle, and then but there'd be costs, yes, and there'd be energy expended. So
Right,
we,
but the webinars we do online, there's
that's right. You don't have
the
to, yeah,
minimal. You don't have to move out of your house. You
turn
just,
your
yeah,
computer on, yeah,
or your phone.
or your phone, yeah.
Yep.
All right. And if you don't see any more, Mark, let me know, and then we'll actually, it's very close to the top of the hour, and we'll probably call it for the
Yeah.
day anyway. And I've got to get to an airplane, so
All right, man. I
I
think.
can spend some energy flying home.
Yep.
So,
I think we're done here. So
all
you have a
right.
good trip.
Thank you, man. Thanks, everybody. You guys are all awesome. We'll talk to you next week.